Really honoured to have Clyde with us today, and this has been arranged by Jamie Boyle, so huge shout out to Jamie. He's a prolific author. He's hooked us up with loads of guests, and in the description box will be a link to his work and Clyde's work, and a link to Clyde's book, Jailhawk. I watched the documentary, and these are really impressive birds. So, to give you an idea of what's going to happen today, I'm actually going to read, because it's very impressive, the back of this book. So, 1920s Sheffield was so infested with gangs that it was nicknamed Little Chicago. In 1937, George Orwell wrote, "Sheffield could justly claim to be the ugliest town in the world." Cut to Hillsborough, 1960, and a new breed of criminal, Clyde, Broughton, is born into the Steel City. An early start in petty crime led to time at Borstal, football trials at Wednesday, and an apprenticeship in crime with the notorious Dave Lee. Robbery with violence, burglary, and run-ins with his arch nemesis in CID, and the infamous Judge Pickles eventually resulted in a hefty sentence behind bars. Clyde's story sees him travel through the UK prison system, where he meets some of the country's most revered faces, including 54 days solitary in Wakefield prison with the infamous Bobby Maudsley. Jailhawk includes other tales, some humorous from along the way, including his long-time friendship with heavyweight boxer Paul Sykes, trouble at the local gypsy camp, a life-changing machete attack, and I have seen the photos, and he was hacked in his arm, and it's really deep. And an organised hustle filmed by documentary makers entitled Smoking with the Hawk. So, I've also done the audiobooks about Sykes for Jamie. So I didn't know much about him, to be honest, but now I've learnt a lot. And his story, this larger-than-life character, is absolutely fascinating. So we will be going over some of that Paul Sykes info, and I'll put the links to those audiobooks in the description box as well. A huge thank you for coming on, Clyde.
My pleasure.
Sheffield. My last talk with Wildman was in Sheffield. We had 150 people, and they kept us behind asking loads of questions, and it was the best atmosphere of any of the talks I've ever done. I absolutely love Sheffield and the people there. So friendly, and Wildman had the time of his life on the stage as well. I think it was the only time he got on the stage like that and did a proper talk. His spirit is with us today. I wish he'd have been here for you to meet him.
Yeah, I do as well.
Our first guest this week brought him a can of Foster's. So, he's looking over us in the room. So, we like to go back then and go over how you ended up getting into crime. And you told me a bit about your dad earlier on, that he was in the military. Could you explain what he did?
Yeah, my dad, he was in Second World War, and he was a Chindit. Now, Chindit is somebody who fights in jungles, guerrilla warfare. He was in Burma, Egypt, Italy, but Burma where it were really, and fighting Japanese. I actually saw pictures of him when they couldn't get food supplies, and he really dehydrated, lost a hell of a lot of weight. And yeah, his best mate was a Gurkha. When he got blown up in Burma, him and his pal got blew up together, and they were in opposite beds. And my dad asked the Gurkha guy if he could look at his knife, what he used to use, for whatever purpose. And he said to me, "Dad, if I draw my knife, I have to draw blood." So he goes, so anyway, my dad gave him his hand and he nicked his thumb with it just so he could see his knife. It's crazy, isn't it? I know, but yeah.
Shout out to the Gurkhas in Aldershot as well, near where I live. I mean, these guys are slender, but they can seriously kick arse. And they did a real service for the country, didn't they?
Yeah, and lucky enough, my dad survived that war. And he lived to be a ripe old age, 84.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My grandfather Fred was left on the battlefield in Tunisia fighting the Nazis, and he was left for dead, but the Americans rescued him. Yeah, that's how I came into existence, was because he survived.
Thank God for America.
So, military men then have like a certain discipline. Were you raised in a household with that discipline?
Yeah, I had absolutely no problems with my family. My mum and dad, they never hit me. They never did out like that. If I wanted something, if they could afford it, they'd get it me. When he used to be a coal man, my dad, after forces. And every Friday when he got paid, he used to come home to me and my brother and buy us something. Every single Friday, he'd buy us some clothes or some toys, you know. Yeah, he was a really good man.
How did your mum and dad meet?
I ain't got a clue. Like, I know my dad had been married twice, and I think his first wife died.
Oh dear.
But yeah, they'd been together years, my mum and dad. Like, I've got a brother what's 19 years older than me.
Yeah.
I had a sister what were 13 years older than me. So yeah, they'd been together quite some time.
So what was your childhood like, and how were you in school?
Oh, school, I hated it. I hated school. I didn't mind going for games lessons, PE and things like that, but when it come to all else, like maths, like that, I couldn't be arsed, and I just decided I weren't bothered, and really never went after it.
Was this back when it was CSEs and O-levels and that stuff?
Yeah, they were all levels,
Yeah.
but no GSEs or all. Like,
None of that had come about
none of that.
yet, had it? So you found that you were more inclined to the physical then?
I love football. I ended up going when I did my second whack of Borstal. There was a scout what came to watch me from Sheffield Wednesday.
Really?
Yeah, John Harris, and he approached. I think the PEI obviously told him that we got somebody from Sheffield.
Yeah.
What could play a bit, and Jack Charlton was manager at Sheffield Wednesday at the time, and I'd only got about 3 weeks left, so they arranged for me to go down to Hillsborough once I got out.
Wow.
And have a trial.
Yeah. And what happened there?
Well, I did all right in trial, but different kinds of people to me. Like, I was like rough and ready, if you like. You know what I mean? And these other guys, like, I'd turn up with a carrier bag with my boots in, and they'd be turning up like with top tracksuits on and big Adidas bags, and I just felt out in place. So without saying out, I just walked out. And John Harris, he actually saw me and he told me, he said, where you going, Clyde? And I said, well, I don't think I've done good enough. He goes, well, if it's any consolation to you, Jack Charlton wants to see you tomorrow.
Wow.
That's what he said to me.
Holy shit.
I never went.
Oh.
I know. It was one of the biggest mistakes I ever did.
Yeah. So what were your friends like as a kid?
They were all like me, really.
Yeah.
Like, we used to like go about seeing what we could do. It weren't like today. You know what I mean? Like, we used to go out and like we used to do a lot of thieving, to be truthful.
That from businesses, shops?
When we were kids, like, I did my first house burglary when I was 12 years old.
What the hell?
Yeah.
Did they send you through the window or something because you're small at 12?
It was actually comical, this, when it first happened, because me and my mates gone to do this house, and while we're in it, we've heard a noise. So we've got hid in kitchen. Next minute, this door opens, and my mate's brother and his pal had come to do the same house.
No.
So that's true, that. They made us sit in kitchen. They went upstairs, turned it over, and then we all left together.
Did you get a share of the spoils?
Well, no, not really.
Oh.
Like, no, we got no outnet. Not that I can remember. But, yeah, that was the first time I'd ever done all like that.
Doing things like that then, did you have a fear of getting caught?
What it were, when I was a young lad, my brother, he ended up in a wheelchair. So my dad had to come out and work and look after him permanently because he had a really a brittle bone disease, it were, and he could hardly move, and he had to be fed and things like that. So money were very, very scarce. So I decided, after living a few years from being like 6 years old as I was growing up, I decided that I didn't want to be in that kind of situation when I've got no money. I need to like do something with myself, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I found thieving, burgling, get me them things.
Yeah, yeah.
I know it's not right, but
Well, you were a kid.
I was a kid, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And at that age then, did you just think you were invincible?
Yeah, I just like having money. I always had, even like from a kid, I had money in my pocket, and that was important to me. And I made sure like that we were fed at home.
Yeah.
Know what I mean?
So when you did the burglary then, how did you fence the goods and get that into cash?
Well, I had different kinds of people. I weren't bothered when I first started burgling about finding money, because I knew that whatever goods I found, I had somebody for them goods, whether they were jewellery, videos, televisions, all like that. I knew I had somebody to sell them. So money really didn't really matter, because I knew it was going to come anyway.
So you sell them directly to customers?
Straight away, I had somebody for everything.
Yeah, you had it all lined up.
Yeah, it was all ready.
How did it start to go wrong?
Right. When I was 12, I was obviously a young lad, and I was wagging school a lot. I was thieving. And in them days, you had to go like in front of education committee about why you're missing school, your dad were weird and all that. So I ended up in court. They sent me to court for wagging school and thieving. And they sent me to a remand home called Shirecliffe. I was only 12 years old, and they used to send you on a 3-week assessment. So I did my 3-week assessment, and then like I went back to juvenile court. They let me out because it was my like first time. So they let me out, and not long after, a few weeks later, and like really on it now, like thieving properly, out of control. If it weren't bolted down, it would come in with me. That's how it were. And I got done for a couple of burglaries, what I got caught for. So I had to go back to Shirecliffe Remand Home for a 3-week assessment. Went back to court. They put me into care. They sent me from Shirecliffe after a few months to a place on outskirts of Sheffield called Rycroft Glen, which was a children's home. I stayed there for a bit.
What was it like in there?
Well, I never got bullied, or staff never like tampered with us or all like that. This was a decent place. If all, because they were a girls' children's home bang across from us, and we used to sneak out and get in bushes and watch them on. So it was us what were dodge pots, you know what I mean, as kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I stayed there a couple of months, which I didn't want to go really, because it was easy for visits for my mum and dad to come, even though they had our Billy, and who were in wheelchair. And from there I went to a place called Castle Howard, which is about 13 miles on other side of York.
Yeah.
I ended up staying there for about 3 years. Kept escaping, going out, burgling. This is while I'm into proof school. Do you know what I mean? I had 2 partners in crime there. Kevin Bottomley from Mardenroyd, and a guy called Ronnie Spencer from Hull. And we used to it weren't escaping, it was just going out, do you know what I mean? And we used to go out and we used to do burglaries. And I once got caught. In fact, I once got out and I'd been walking for about 5 hours thinking I'm heading away, and I ended up back where I started because it was all new to me. I didn't know where it were, do you know what I mean? And I walked round in a big circle and it was night time and I just sneaked back in and got back in bed. Yeah. And but little Ronnie Spencer, who I used to do it with, who used to escape with, I must have escaped about 4 or 5 times, and I always used to seem to get caught. And I take my hat off to little Ronnie Spencer. I'm laid in bed, fast asleep, and he's come back to approved school, woke me up, and boom, we were off again. Yeah.
What did you do with the money that you made?
Just went into York and spent it all. Do you know what I mean? We didn't there was a time when we did do a good job, and I know sounds a little bit far-fetched, because we were only kids, we were about 13 years old, and it was this house in Westoe. We've gone up stairs and we've found a little money tin, only that big. 1973. There were £280 in it.
It's a lot back then.
And a hell of a lot of receipts. And we went into York, we got bused to York, and we just kitted us sends out. And obviously, the women, when I look back now, the women who worked at this shop must have thought, right, but these must be right little dodgy fuckers, these. So we got this stuff, bought it all, and went and sat on this park, and next minute, busy came and got us. But they got us, and the guy, when we met him, he wanted to know where the receipts were. He told us, he goes, well, I'm not bothered about the money. Yeah. I want to know where these receipts are. So whatever they were, I don't know. It was something important.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but it was all about burgling then. I loved it, not just for the sake of getting stuff, but the actual buzz of doing it.
While you were in the Cur, then you said the 3-year period, that's a long time. Did family members visit you?
I managed to get, when I was at Castle Howard, I had one visit of my mum. But every 3 months, they used to let us go home for 9 days. And if you were extra good, they'd let you go home on a weekend and that. But I never got weekend visits because I never had anybody to pick me up or all that. But I did get one home leave, and my brother died while I were on it.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, he was 18 years old, and he was in a wheelchair and all that. And
from the degenerative bone thing?
Yeah, but they told me mum and dad, which I found out later on, that he'd be lucky to see 21. And I was in the same bedroom at the time, and not really knowing what was going off, but it did get me eventually. And then when I've gone back to approved school and people are finding out, they starting taking piss and that, you know what I mean? And that really did me head in. Then I was just young kids.
Cruel little bastards.
Yeah. And it ended up fighting all the time and running away. Anyway, I ended up getting out when I was 15 years old. So I got in when I was 12. I got out when I was 15. So I'd done 3 years. And these approved schools, the one I were in anyway, I know people say that this happened to them, that happened to them, but I must stress that this never went on in our approved school.
Good. All
this messing about and all that. Yeah.
How did you end up in your first Borstal?
Well, I did 2 detention centres first.
Okay.
Just burgling.
Yeah.
Burgling, thieving, running into showboat, nicking tills, just crazy, do you know what I mean? I did 2 detention centres. I did Broughton and North Sea Camp.
What was it like going into one of them for your first time ever?
Detention centre's the worst place I've ever been.
Is it?
Yeah, because they said it was like a short, sharp shop. And we'd been in our dormitory, and at 2 o'clock in the morning, a screw had just come in and make everybody get out of bed and make bed packs and fold your clothes up. And they had to have really like razor blade edges on them, and like 2 o'clock in the morning just doing that, and you had to march everywhere and like going on parade square in the morning and freezing cold. It was, and like they didn't give a shit about you. Like if you did so, if they caught you, let's say pushing in dinner queue, you get filled in. And some of them were real like big men, no? Do you know what I mean?
Ex-military as well, a lot of them.
Oh yeah, and they treat you like that. I can remember having my dinner in detention, and they used to give you letters out, you know, like so you could write home to your parents. And this screw, Anchors they called him, one of the biggest men I've ever seen, big ginger. He says, right, this is what you've got to write on your first line. Dear Mum and Dad, I am okay. Everybody in here is fine with me. Fucking serious. And next breath, they'll be beating you up. Yeah.
What kind of, like, was it like a dorm or cells? How was it structured?
Yeah, dormitories.
Dormitories.
Yeah, dormitories, which were all right. Well, in a sense, it weren't all right, but it were because, like, you could talk to people, but people used to start fucking about, do you know what I mean? And then screws would hear you, and then they'd have you coming in and put you on report, and then you're having to scrub big corridors and all that shit for a few nights. Yeah, but detention, I'd say that were the worst place I'd ever been.
Was there a hierarchy in there?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There were always somebody trying it on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's like all else, if you stood for it, they'd carry on. If you stopped it, they stopped.
Did you have pals in there?
Yeah, well, yeah, I had pals. Like I, in fact, when I was 15, I used to play for screws at football because I were, like I said, I were a good footballer, and like when you show it, like yeah, I had pals in there, like, but they were just like me, really. They weren't like big hard cases or all like that. We just kept ourselves to ourselves.
Yeah. So after 2 detention centres, then what was the next trouble you got in after that?
Borstal.
That was Borstal. What was that? Was that for burglaries again?
Burglaries. Burglaries. There were no else involved on them. It was just burglaries. I did Weatherby first. Well, I did Weatherby both times.
What's it like in there?
Well, it was an open jail. And for your induction, you had to run round racecourse. But yeah, fucking hell. But not all of it, just so much of it. Do you know what I mean? But Borstal, yeah, he was all right. There were no problems in there. I think it were 9 months to 2 years. Yeah, I just did 9 months out in each of them. Got out when I were, I think my second one, about 18.
Did you have many fights in there?
Yeah. So I met Ronnie Pickering. Well, I met Ronnie Pickering. You've heard of Ronnie Pickering, haven't you?
Yeah. Do you want to tell people who Ronnie Pickering is?
Ronnie Pickering is that nutcase who got... who was in his car when the guy on this motorbike pulled up at the side of him, and they started having an argument because Ronnie thought that this guy shouldn't have been passing him on his motorbike. Yeah, Ronnie. He's not like that, really. I still keep in touch with him now. I was talking to him the other day, in fact. He's quite a nice kid, but he got famous through being a dickhead. Yeah, I met Ronnie in Castle Howard, and I also did a stretch of Borstal with him.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's a nice kid, Ronnie. When I started getting into serious crime, I was 19-year-old. I got done for 2 burglaries, One was an oldish contractor house, and one was just this other house what we've been told about. We got a bit of money out in it and a bit of goods, but I got charged with 2 burglaries and a robbery. One was a snatch. I was in this place and I got a phone call off my mate telling me that, now this is 1978, and I got a phone call off my mate telling me a guy had just won 1,200 quid in bookies. 1,200 quid in 1978 were good money. When you consider it was only 25 pence a pint. So with a fiver, you could get 20 pints of lager. And this guy had just won 1,200 quid and I got the phone call. So he'd tell me where he were going, down Allison Crescent. So I've come out in this place, just walked straight up to him, smashed him, took his bag and got away. But I shouldn't have done this really because it was near where I lived. And this woman saw me and she grasped me up, went on an ID parade, pointed me out. I also got done for the 2 burglaries. So I've got to go to Crown Court.
Did they get the money back?
Nah. They never got money back, ever. Never even got goods back. You know what I mean? So I had to go to Crown Court, and lo and behold, I'm in front of Judge Pickles.
The hanging judge.
Yeah. People have they'll have heard of Judge Pickles. And for the 2 burglaries, I got 4.5 years. And for the robbery, I got 3 year consecutive. So I got 7.5 years for that. And funny enough, that's the biggest sentence I've done. Yeah.
So Pickles stacked your charges then?
Yeah, my barrister tried for something like 18 months, 2 year. But Pickles, he looked over his glasses. He used to wear them half-cut glasses. He just looked over at my barrister like that and just shook his head like that. My fucking horse fell through. I knew something would come in, but I didn't actually think it was going to give me that much. And yeah, anyway, sentence meant to take him down. So
were you in a daze?
Yeah. Yeah, because I was working with 2 firms as well at the time. And there were quite a few of us in dock. And I was youngest, and I got the big one. Whereas the other fellas, they got like 3s, 21 months. But I was one of them, mate. I was in a daze to start off with, but once I got down and it registered what was happening, I started thinking to myself, well, I'm only a young lad. I'll do this, no problem. So I went to Leeds, YP, on YP wing, on D wing. I was there maybe 3 or 4 months and got allocated to a place called Swinfernall. Whereas Swinfernall then was where all the fucking bad YPs go. Like you had to be doing a 5 stretch to get in there. They had murderers, HMPs, rapists, if you like. Do you know what I mean? And I ended up there. I was there for 2 years, and I was Jim Ogley. And the screw said to me, I'll never forget it, this SO, little fat bastard, he was a lying cunt anyway, I didn't like him. Espid, he called him. He says, there's some courses going. I goes, yeah. He goes, anatomy and physiology. If you take it, it'll really help you with your parole. But I was a mogul prisoner anyway at that time. I never got nicked or did all wrong. I was into my sports, my football. So I thought, right, I'll take it. So anyway, I did my 12 month. I passed it. I got my O level. So I'm waiting for my parole answer now. And in them days, when you got parole, you got a big sheet of paper like that. If you got a knockback, it was a small piece of paper. So I'm waiting. I've been waiting now. I think you used to have to wait about 4 months for your answer. But I know it's any time. And I'm thinking, like, I got this guy to write me a mitigation act to send to parole board and all that, really good. And so I'm thinking, yeah, I've got a chance. Old schools are saying, yeah, you've got a chance, you've got a chance. So anyway, I'm in my pad. Door opens, screw stood there. I looked at his face like that and I thought, oh my fucking God. Passed him anywhere a little piece of paper like that, a straight knockback. I thought, you and I thought, and then that changed me then, because I thought, well, I've been a model prisoner, I've tried my best, I've done everything you asked me to. So I just put an application in to see Governor. I went to see Governor. He said, what can I do for you? I goes, I want starting up. I want to go with Masters now. I was like, I've tried my best down here, and I was 21, so there were nothing they could do about it. So anyway, he says, all right, bump, bump, bump. Sent me back to Leeds to wait to go to Liverpool, because Liverpool then were long-term allocation. Went back to Leeds for a bit, then went down to Liverpool on H-Wing with all big lads.
Was there a rivalry with people from Sheffield versus Scousers, anything like that?
Scousers, like, I've got some good mates who are Scousers, you know what I mean? But a lot of them, like, in jail, they weren't, especially in jails up north, they didn't really like Scousers up north, you know what I mean? But saying that, I've got a few Scouse mates, so...
There we are in L3. You better say that.
Yeah, so I ended up going to Walton.
Walton, yeah.
Walton jail. I think it's one of the biggest jails in the country, isn't it? 5 landings high.
Yeah.
Really big jail.
Rings of you, quite a few people have been in Walton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
what was it like settling in there then?
well, lucky enough, when I went on induction first, I had to go in, I was in there for about a week, and then they put me on landing. And lucky enough, I got in with a kid from Doncaster who were roughly the same age as me. He was doing a 5 stretch for some gun or something like. He'd done this job and he did this gun. And somebody handed it in and they got his prints off it. So, yeah. Walton, it was all right because, like again, sports. You know what I mean? You could go out and have a game of football there. You used to have like outside football teams coming in who you could play.
Yeah. Any crazy stories then? Anything that you saw? Anybody getting attacked? Anything like that?
Nah, not really. Not in Walton. I met a few people there, like Delroy Showers. He's a pal of mine now. We still keep in contact, me and Delroy. Shout
out to Michael Showers, who was on the podcast. So if you want to check that out, just scroll down True Crime Podcast in the description box.
Yeah, Delroy was there. A guy called Jimmy Tago. He was a good pal of mine. David Glover from Newcastle. Couple of Tamses. Tommy Tams, I think Arthur as well. Yeah. Thing is as well, with long-term allocation, when I was in Walton, nearest dispersal jail to me was Wakefield. Now, I'm only a young lad, I don't know what Wakefield is, as far as all I know is its nearest long-term jail, Sheffield. So Delroy and Jimmy, they kept coming up to me and saying, listen, don't go to that fucking Wakefield, it's full of nonsense. He goes, come to Hull with us, everything's sweet. But now I wanted my visits and,
of course,
you know what I mean? So anyway, I spent about 8 months in Walton and then I ended up going to Wakefield.
So earlier then you said you ended up in Walton because you requested to be starred up.
Yeah.
Could you explain to people what that means, getting starred up?
Starred up is like when I went in and then I become 21. That means that I'm eligible to go to the big man's jail. Like under 21, you're classed as a YP. After 21, you're classed as a a con, if you like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wakefield, then. Is this where you meet Sykesy?
No, I met Sykesy when I was 16 years old.
Oh, back in when you were 16.
Yeah, I met him. My mate Dave Lee, he came out to see me, mate Dave Lee, and I was working with Dave, like I was doing these burglaries and things like that, and he introduced me to him. The first time I met Paul would have been in jail, would have been about, well, when I first came back from Swinfen Hall to go to Leeds to wait to go to Walton. That was the first time I'd seen him in jail then.
So the very first time you ever met him then, what was his reputation? Because perhaps people watching this don't know who he is.
Paul Sykes in 1976 was the bollocks. Like, proper hardest man I've ever met anyway, by far. He was a big man, like big, skinny waist, training, yeah, fists, huge fists. But I never saw that part in me until later on. But when I saw Paul in Leeds, I've met him a couple of times, like when I was younger, and when I saw him in Leeds, walking down landing, I shouted him, "Paul," and he knew me straight away, and that was it. Like, I got me protector, if you like. Yeah, because I used to train with him as well. We used to do weights together. He used to get me cell opened up, and this was later on. He used to get me cell opened up. Like, instead of going at gym once or maybe twice a week, I was going twice a day. And that was down to Paul.
Did you see him knock anyone out?
Well, what it were with Paul, we came back from gym one day and we're walking along Cerveray. We hadn't had time to go back to our cells to put our stuff in. So we've gone straight to Cerveray. And I'd never seen this in any jail before. All the guys, when he started walking along Cerveray, they put the utensil down so he could serve himself. Because he used to say to him, "Shall I serve myself?" He goes, "I don't want to get you in trouble, but if you serve me, you've got to put what I want on." So these shoes used to put it down. And Chief Screw would be stood at end of thing. But they can't do no. They can't say to that kid, "Pick that utensil up." They can't, because like say. And anyway, it was a bit embarrassing really, because when he was feeding himself, and like I'm training with him, whatever he's putting on his tray, he's putting on mine. Serious. And I used to think to myself, fucking hell, like, I hope I go out in this jail before you go out in it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And anyway, we get to Duff Part Sponge Pudding, and there's a big guy, a big blonde-haired kid from Hull. Didn't know Paul. So Paul went, "Are you going to serve me, son, or shall I serve myself?" And kid went, "You'll get same as everybody else." So he went, and Chief Screw stood there. He went, "Okay, you will." Just up. Next day, on my door, "Jim." "Yeah, no problem." So anyway, we're in. Next minute, all these white T-shirts start running through. Kitchen lads. I know exactly what was going to happen. He went, 2 minutes, Clyde. I went, all right. I'll never forget, I've got a squat bar on my bike. So I'm getting it back so I could and the only thing I heard were, boom. Just once. Boom. He's come out, he's run straight into Screw's office, got this towel. He went, "Go and give him that." So before you get into gym in Leeds, you had to come down these stairs. He went, "Go and give him that." And as I walked round the corner, this guy is laid on steps with his eyes wide open, split from top of his head straight to end of his nose. And I honestly thought it were done. So I got a towel and just slung it on his head like that and chipped. And Sykesy just carried on fucking doing what he was doing. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, you know, Paul Sykes, like, you're all on about hard men and all this, but you've heard of Roy Shaw?
Oh, yes. We had his son on.
Yeah. Well, Sykes beat him twice.
Did he?
Yeah, he fought him in Hull twice. Like, what it were, Sykes, with him being such an hard case. Like, I've got loads of stories about Sykes, like when Charlie Richardson sat in front at telly with his mates, and Sykes has come back from wherever, he's walking past telly, and Charlie Richardson said to him, "Paul, turn telly up." Sykes has walked up to telly, grabbed it and turned it upside down and just walked off. An old Cockney underworld loved it. Know what I mean? But because Sykes, how he was, Roy Shaw just got something like a 10 stretch or a 15, and he's on his way to Hull. And all the Cockneys are saying, yeah, you will do now. Like, because at that particular time, I think he was governor in London on with Fist. So anyway, cut a long story short, I don't really know the true story, but Delroy's told me, and a guy called David Dunford, who were actually there, they had 2 fights. One lasted 13 seconds and the other one lasted about 20. So, and Paul I don't know if you've ever read it, that book, Hard Bastards.
No.
Well, it's about all the hard bastards what were in this country. I think one of Cray's missuses wrote it, and Sykes, he weren't in it, but he used to mump about it. He used to say, how come he's in there when I'm not in and I beat him up? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. He used to come and see me in Sheffield, Paul. Like, he once got off at train and he walked straight in FHM magazine, opened it up, just got off at train, opened it up like that. There was a big picture of him in the middle. It said, Britain's hardest man. I went, all like that then. That's it, you know.
Did you see him interacting with the guards much then? Was he like attacking them, or because he always like authority? He didn't get along with authority, did he? That's why he ended up in prison.
I never really saw him attack guards. Like, I can tell you about this other guy who had a fight with. I'm in canteen queue, me, waiting to get my stuff. And there was a guy from Newcastle, Freddie Mills, they called him. Fred the Head. Everybody knew him, like, crazy fucker, do you know what I mean? Didn't give a shit about anything. Even Paul Sykes, when they saw each other, it were on. And anyway, I'm in canteen queue, and they both met, so bump, it were on. But Freddie Mills, in his own way, was an hard case, but he wasn't in the same league as Paul. And that's the difference. And Paul battered him. Even though Freddie Mills had started a fight, Paul, you just used to beat him up. So there were a big fat PO who Paul used to listen to, if you know what I mean. He got on with him. So he's walked up to Paul and he said, listen, stop. You know where you're going, don't you? Which he meant block. He went, yeah, I do. He goes, I want pain first. He goes, right, get in queue. I'm 3 behind. He's gone straight in front of me. So, Screw, he's looking for his name like this on thing. He went to Screw. He went to PO. He's already been paid. He went, well, fucking pay him again then. Let him get off. So they had to pay him again just so he could go down block. Unbelievable. Yeah.
What's the story about him and the cat and the hat?
I've heard about that. Where did it happen, Walton? I thought it happened in Manchester, me. I know Bronson says it happened in Walton. But yeah, I've heard it, but he never told me, he never said out to me about it. Yeah. Maybe it is true, like if people actually saw him walking about, but I'd like to know how he managed to skin a cat in cell. I don't know if it's true, like he never said no to me about it, ever.
And was it true that guards would like threaten young people and say, look, you better behave, we're going to put Sykes in with you? Yeah,
like Sykes, because they used to say that to him, to YPs and that, because they used to say that Sykes, they used to fucking sexually assault, which I've been in a few jails with Paul, and I was only a young kid when I was in jail with him. I've been in fucking showers with him. Never, ever, ever, not even look at you dodgy, do you know what I mean? Screws used to say that to keep him quiet. Like, Paul, if he would have raped anybody, like, the thing were that he used to say that he used to give him half ounce and a buck of matches once he'd done them. But it's a load of bollocks, because if anybody got raped with a guy in jail, they'd go straight down at office, grass him up, and then he'd be ghosted. He'd be gone. Do you know what I mean? They won't keep him in jail while he's doing things like that. It's a load of bollocks. It's never, ever, ever been done for anything like that.
So did you have access to full-on weightlifting equipment then in there back then?
Yeah, well, I ended up being a really good powerlifter. I broke all inter-senior leagues with squat. Like, I weighed 81 and a half kilo, which is roughly 12 and a half stone. And I broke all records. Like, I squatted 280 kilo, wow, which is like 612 pounds. So it was near enough 4 times my own body weight.
Yeah.
And Sykes, he came up to me and he says, learn me how to lift weights and I'll show you how to punch. That's what he said to me, yeah. And so he started powerlifting with me, training. He was a big guy, Paul, like really long arms, do you know what I mean? So his lifts with his arms weren't going to be brilliant. He had good squats. He could squat 240 kilo, which is a good squat for any man. You know what I mean? Yeah, so...
So he had an incredible reach then when he was punching.
Incredible strength as well. Yeah. His fist twice size of mine. He was a huge bloke.
Did he show you how to punch?
Yeah, on bike, she showed me, like, you know what I mean? But
yeah.
I used to spar with him. And I used to annoy him first, but every now and again he'd go, bump, in my face. He'd go, oh, I'm sorry, Clyde, I forgot. And rib me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, but he was all right with me. He didn't, like, take piss at all like that. He didn't hurt me. Yeah.
Was he getting visits from did he have a missus back then and kids?
Yeah, Kath, young Paul. 2 of his sons are doing life now.
Oh, Jesus. What is that murder or?
Murder, yeah. I think one killed a copper.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got he had a Down syndrome guy, son as well.
Yeah.
I'll tell you another story about Paul. I'm at home and his missus were in labour. So he's on his own, so he's phoned me up and asked me to go through. Knows for somebody to chat with. So he said to me, do you fancy a drink? I went, yeah, I'll have a drink. Because I knew I was staying there for the night anyway. So I went, come on. So I got in my car, drove to a nightclub in Wakefield, went up to the bouncer, said something to him. Bouncers walked in and come out with a big crate of Red Stripe and just getting him.
Wow.
Oh yeah, like, once he'd had a bit of beer, Paul, he could change. Do you know what I mean?
Really?
Yeah. He once came to see me again in Sheffield, and there was a guy roughly his same age, but used to like to have a fight where I were. And he said to me, Paul, he goes, let's go up to your local and meet your mates. I were a bit reluctant, you know what I mean? But because when he got a bit kettled, like, he could turn. I was, well, I'm going to warn you now, there's somebody out there same age as you what likes to have a fight. He went, oof. He was like showing a bullet red rag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What happened when he arrived then?
He weren't there, that other guy.
Oh, wasn't he?
Which I was glad about. So
yeah,
we just got pissed. Then we took him home, and I didn't see him for a bit after that.
And his life deteriorated, didn't it? So, like, he was homeless and kids were picking on him and stuff.
Yeah.
And
if them young kids would have known what that man were all about in his day.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Giving him pound coins to get up and do a bit of sparring and that, and setting him on fire. And I went through a couple of times to find him. I went to see his sister in market, and she told me where he hung about, and I could never find him.
Really?
No, it's to help him out, like give him a bit of money and that.
Yeah. That's a shame. Was Lee Duffy in the system around this time as well?
Yeah, he was in the system. I didn't know Lee. I never met him because he was more like up Durham area.
Yeah.
Well, he's from Middlesbrough, but I did get told, like, if Sykesy and him were in the same jail, they used to keep them apart.
Did they?
Yeah.
Do you think Sykesy would have knocked the Duff out or vice? Yeah.
I'm not saying later years, but like in his prime. Oh yeah, well you've got a guy who's a professional fighter, but not only a professional fighter, somebody who likes to fight, And what I got told, Lee Duffy was a big bully and he used to sideswipe people as well. Whereas Paul would never sideswipe you. If he got upset to you, he'd like put it on you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. If I had 100 quid, I'd put it on Paul. Put it that way.
Who were the other biggest names around then in the system?
Well, yeah, Brian Cockrell. I never met him. Like different parts of, like he's up north. Do you know what I mean? I'm like in South Yorkshire.
Yeah.
Cockrell. Like I've seen his podcast. He seems a nice guy. Do you know what I mean? I didn't know what says. I know Tamsers. They were a big family up there. I never got to meet Vic Graham either. But when I went to Durham just to like pass through because I was on my way to Acklington. I got shanghaied from Lindholm.
Yeah.
And they sent me right up Acklington, which is about 12 miles from Scottish border. And they sent me right up there.
Wow.
So I was up, when I was in Durham, Sykesy actually came in that time, and I was on association, and this kid's come down and said, he's walked through to that Paul Sykes. And there were some tricky guys here now sat watching this telly.
Yeah.
I'm not going to mention the names.
Yeah.
But they just stood up and walked to the cells and banged the doors.
Wow.
Yeah, fucking Sykesy, like, if you think you're top dog, he's gonna want to have a go at it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He wants a bite at cherry. Serious.
Yeah, Jamie sent me a poem here about Walton Prison. Delroy Showers wrote. It says Delroy Showers football poem. Soccer in the lockup. Liverpool Prison, circa 1983. This is. So, refurbed and gleaming prison walls, razors welded to giant snaked wires. German shepherd wolves hurt us all. We first our freedoms in match day high. No beer here in Walton's jail's cop. Yet azure blue skies give game day glow. And come we all to stand in awe of mighty Clyde Broughton in full flow. Striker, midfield, or solid back. He's Carl Lewis, so runs like easy. 210 pounds of powerlifter's fury. Brother Clyde Broughton, Yorkist glory.
Good day, isn't it?
Yeah, so how did that come about?
What it were, when I used to play for the football team in Walton, they used to let cons out. Those to watch.
Yeah.
To watch, and Delroy used to come on. Like, I were pals with Delroy. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's got, they said there's things dodgy about him with things and that, but like, again, I've never seen it. I'm not saying it's not true. I'm not saying it is, but, you know, it, never like that with me. But, yeah, we were all right, me and Del, and we used to train together as well, do a bit of weight. Del used to own a British record, I think it was for deadlifting.
Bloody hell, did he?
Very strong, Delroy.
Yeah.
Got legs, big, huge legs.
Wow. Yeah.
And Johnny Phillips as well, like, he was there when I was there. He was a mate of mine.
Yeah.
He ended up getting shot. He was a powerful lad as well.
Yeah. You did a crime apprentice with Dave Lee.
Yeah, he was like my mentor when I was at it.
Was he?
Once I got through this 7.5 year, I did 4 year, 10 month, and I ended up doing 4 year, 10 month.
Yeah.
So I was like 24 when I got out. I got in with Dave Lee, but then things changed. We started doing jobs what weren't on spec. It were like people telling us what was actually there. There were one which we watched for 2 weeks. Not going to say who it was.
Yeah, let's keep that out.
Watched for 2 weeks, and this particular day we knew we were in house at time, when they were leaving, when they were coming back. And we saw this woman come out and we knew the house was empty. Went in, opened it up. Don't forget then, there weren't cameras on houses and things like that. It was easy, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you just had to go up, pop a window or just boot door open. It was that easy. Yeah, we searched the house, found little bits of jewellery and bits of money, but we got told that there were something in there, but we just could not find it. And on way out, we clocked it. It was like, imagine your front door here, and then there's a table with a tablecloth over it. But we noticed with this tablecloth, there were no legs on the table. Took it off and it was there safe. So we've carried it out, took it to my mate's house, opened it. There were £8,000 in cash and £16,000 worth of jewellery.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, early 1985.
Got worth 100 grand plus now.
That was a good burglary.
Yeah.
That was a good burglary. And the not thing about it is, our burglaries, nobody got hurt. We weren't wrapping people up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We started earning our money because people were telling us what were there. Yeah, and that was one. I used to like doing my snatches when people were like going to firm with money under the arms and things like that. I was going to do one. Very lucky this day. I've watched it. These two guys, they were between 10 and 15 grand anyway in this satchel bag, paying people's wages. And they walk in down this road. So my mate's parked right corner. I'm coming behind them to snatch and off. So I'm about 15 yards away from these guys. My adrenaline's at it. I'm ready. Next minute, this door opened and a pal walked out who I ain't seen for ages, and he went, "All right, Clyde, how you getting on?" That's it. Stopped. Couldn't do it. Gutted. You know what I mean? Just went, "All right, Clyde, how you getting on?" So, couldn't do that. Did another burglary. What I got caught for. I got seen. We ended up going in this pub to meet this guy, this fence, for this stuff what we had. But unbeknown to us, the police was parked outside. They got the registration of the car. See, what we used to do, we used to pinch cars. We didn't go in his own cars. We used to pinch cars and then do a job, because then to get in a car, it was nothing. You could use other car keys to get in and like just shake it about a bit and you were off. We did this job up in Sheffield, in posh part of Sheffield, and we got a hell of a lot of stuff. No money, but a hell of a lot of stuff what could be sold. So I phoned this guy up and I've told him to come and meet me at this place. But unbeknown to me, the police have got the reg number of the car and they've seen us pull into this pub car park. So when we've got the stuff and this guy's come, we're going to follow him, take it and sell it him. The coppers have all fucking jumped on us down the road. So they've got us back in jail 4.5 years again. that burgling game, like, to me, that's only thing I really knew about it. Do you know what I mean? How to earn money, and like I did well at it. I always had money. Like 1978, when you were walking about with like 400 or 500 quid in your pocket, it's no joke.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
1978. Was that punk rock era then starting?
Yeah, just starting.
Yeah.
25 pence a pint.
25 pence a pint. My first record I ever bought was Sex Pistols' Holidays in the Sun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sid Vicious.
Yeah.
Johnny Rotten.
Top of the Pops, they were banned and all that. God save the Queen. Yeah.
Yeah, I can remember punk era. We used to go to a place in Sheffield called Crazy Daisy. That's
Really?
I
I can imagine it was hopping in Sheffield back then.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah.
Were
you doing the pogo dance?
I didn't do all that, actually. I went into Northern Soul, me.
Was you?
Yeah.
You can move to Northern Soul?
I used to, yeah.
Bloody hell.
I used to
That's hard to dance to, that.
I used to love Northern Soul, Wigan Casino.
I found the pogo quite easy, but Northern Soul.
Just jumping up and down.
Yeah.
Did you spit at people?
I can't remember. All I remember is they had these Dr. Martens, purple corduroy things, and a pierced safety pins pierced into my face.
Crazy.
I was only like 10.
Yeah. Everybody to their own, innit?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then...
Because that was the time of the miners' strike as well, wasn't it, around then? Did that affect your dad's work, the miners' stuff? Was he still a miner then, or...?
No, my dad weren't a miner.
Oh, he wasn't he?
No, he was a coal man.
Oh, a coal man?
Yeah, he used
so he wasn't in the pits, gotcha.
Gotcha. He used to deliver coal and things like that.
I see, yeah.
My dad died when I was in prison. He died when I was in Lindholm in 98.
98.
Yeah, but...
So the miners' strike then, did that stop the coal and therefore affect what your dad was doing?
No, I think my dad had to pack up work years ago. Like, my dad was getting on. He was like, when he had me, he was 46 years old.
Wow, okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and my brother died in 74. My brother died in 74, so my dad was born 1914, so he was an old man then, really. Yeah. So he didn't work after that. He was a good man, my dad.
Yeah. Jamie mentioned meeting Ramsey Shannon Maudsley. What was that like?
This is a Wakefield guy. He's not a sex case or all that. He's a double murderer. Like, he did a life sentence, and then he got out, met this German bird, and stabbed her about 60 times. One of them. Old saying, he couldn't turn an electric carving knife off. You know what I mean? Just one of them. Yeah, Ramsey Shannon, he was a character. He was seriously dangerous.
Yeah.
Serious, dangerous. But a nice guy. Like, we're all, in Wakefield, it were all gated off, all different wings. So we're waiting. Cat A's had to go for the dinners first. So we're waiting to go for our dinner, but we can't go until all cat ears have been fed. So this screw shouting, Ramsey, Shannon, fucking where are you? So he comes walking downstairs with his shorts on. Screw went, I've been waiting fucking 10 minutes for you, Ramsey. Looked at Screw like that, right posh, and went, patience is a virtue, wait another fucking 10 minutes. Turn round. Walked straight upstairs. Yeah, Bobby Maudsley, I met him. Now, this really dangerous shit. I got done for barricading up. What it were, I'm back late from gym. So there were no wash basins or toilets or all like that in your pads. So I've had to get a wash basin good at recess and fill it full of water. So I'm having a bath, if you like, in this fucking thing. And I was in a 3-man cell, but these cells, they were big cells. They weren't like your normal cells, they were big cells. And because I was in with 2 mates. So I'm washing me fucking arse and all this in this thing. And Screws come to spy hole, knows for the last roll check. shouting me. So I went, I'm here, it's all right. He went, show your face. So I've got 2 big eyes tattooed on my arse, right? So I've walked backwards like that and showed him my arse. And he went, you fucking Nick Broughton. I went, oh, whatever, like. So anyway, I'm in with a guy called Patton. He's doing 9 years for cutting his bird's throat.
Bloody hell.
I'm in with a guy called Mick Riley, who told me he was a robber, but this is story as we go on. Like, he told me he was a robber. So, and then listen, fucking hell, he used to beat nonsense up for fun. So you're not going to think any different. So anyway, next day, we goes down to kitchens, gets us grub, and we got loads of bread, loads of this, loads of that, because we're barricading up. So anyway, we barricades up, screws come, seen old doors up to, old beds up to doors and that. So everything stopped in jail, everything. There's no visits, nobody's going to gym, nobody's going to education, nobody's going to work. Lockdown. Everybody's going berserk out on windows because people are expecting visits. You know, they want to get out of their cells and that, do you know what I mean? Anyway, we heard them come outside, so we've got spy holes still up. We've told them to leave spy hole up, and they've come with fucking jacks, knows to jack door off.
Yeah.
So Patton has put his head behind bed. So they're not going to do it. So anyway, we ended up staying in a couple of days, but like, oh, she run out of food, all this, and like, so we decided to come out, and we've told them that we want border visitors are here because Mufti squad were outside as well. Do you know, like with shields and all that shit. So we told them we want at least 2 border visitors there to make sure that no happens to us. So anyway, we came out, and there were 2 screws to each one of us and a dog. So that felt great in itself, being a young guy, do you know what I mean? So they took us down F-Wing, Fraggle Rock, we used to call it. Because we're all, they were like, he was there, what do you call him now, what killed them? Solicitor, that SAS captain, the Fox, Hutchinson, he was down block there. Robert Mosley. I didn't know about Robert Mosley, me. So anyway, day after on adjudication, when we've gone down at block, went for his breakfast, we've just fucking smashed all hot plate up, thrown out food all over, everything. So anyway, I ends up getting 54 days block. Down there at the time, you couldn't smoke, but you could have a paper every day. You could have to read. So I goes on as exercise, got this basketball, I'm booting it about. So directly below me, this cell. They weren't like our cells, these windows, they weren't like square windows, they were like long, straight and just opened about that much. So I walks past this cell and there's this guy, big guy, fucking long hair, big beard. He went, all right, mate. I went, yeah, all right, pal. He goes, I'm Bob. I went, all right, Bob. I goes, I'm Clyde. He goes, how long are you here for? I goes, 54 days. He went, do you smoke? I went, yeah. So anyway, he puts these roll-ups on windowsill outside, some striking matches, and, you know, Screw seen all this. So I get some, pulls me, when Screw, as I'm going in, went, do you know who that is? I ain't got a clue. He says they call him Bob. He goes, it's Robert Mosley. He goes, you know what he did to him? I goes, no. He goes, he killed somebody outside. He killed a con in Parkhurst and he's killed 2 in Wakefield. I thought, fucking hell. Do you know what I mean? And anyway, when I goes back to my pad, he's banging on ceiling. His pad were unbelievable. He got telly in it. It was a cell within a cell. Like your normal cell door, you open that, and then there's a cage door with an hatch at the bottom. They used to feed him through an hatch. Everywhere he went, 6 screws. He was a big guy.
He looked dangerous.
Extremely dangerous. He I think he's been down in Wakefield Block now 40 years. He'll never go on normal location, ever. Yeah, he killed two sex cases, put them under his bed. And apparently that's where they got the Hannibal Lecter thing from, because he's supposed to have like caved this guy's skull in and started eating his brains with a spoon. Which really, I think, is a load of bollocks anyway. You know what I mean? But they did call him Hannibal. And then he went up to Screw's office and just pulled his tool out and get him. But apparently he told the Screw who were doing roll check that the bodies were under his bed.
Wow.
But he went down and get it Screw. Can you imagine Screw then, like, what he was thinking? He'd had to keep cool, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Because if he showed a bit of fear, he might have got it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I used to talk to him through a window at night.
What did he chat about?
Well, one occasion we were on about overcrowding in jails. And he just said to me, don't forget, the Screw had just told me all about him. He went, well, I know how to get rid of overcrowding. I goes, how? Like, expecting a conversation. He went, let me on landing. I'll get rid of most of them. Nonsense. You know. But the thing is, he'll lament that. It's got to be a psychopath, hasn't it?
Absolutely, yeah.
But yeah, he's still there. I've seen recent pictures of him on, well, I'm saying the recent, on YouTube. He looks a totally different guy now.
So you said he killed those guys with a weapon then?
Yeah, he had a weapon. He had a list. And I think there was a screw on it as well.
Was there?
But
Talk some shit to him or something?
Well, yeah, he'll have said something to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he was doing rapists and child molesters, which not a bad thing, really, is it? And he wants a fucking medal, really.
Well, we put that online, asked the public, and like 90, almost 100% was for convict justice of sex offenders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wants a medal. Yeah, but he'll never go on normal location.
Money with menaces. What happened there?
What that were, this guy owed me some money. And he weren't getting it, man. So I've gone up, threatened him, and he's grassed me up. It weren't a lot of money at the time. Might have been about 400 or 500 quid. But he owed it me, and he didn't want to give me. So I threatened him, and he bubbled me.
You owe someone money and just grass them up. That's chicken shit, isn't it?
Yeah, but there's a little story to this as well. I went to court, I got a 12-month bender, suspended sentence. So, anyway, I goes in this pub and I got done for glassing somebody, which didn't happen. What it were, this person threw a punch at me and I've lifted my hand up to block the hand, but it had me glass in it and it's caught me. It got about 4 stitches in face. And that's what happened. Now, in this person's statement, when they bubbled me about it, they said that we were in a face-to-face confrontation of a foot. Now, if I went to glass someday within a foot, there's no way you're getting out there, and it's getting you. It's fucking smashing your face in, do you know what I mean? So anyway, I got to Leeds Nick on remand for this. I'm on remand 8 months. Day at trial, which I'm going not guilty. The judge has sent my barrister down and said he would do a deal with me if I stick my hands up. He'll knock it down from section 18 wounding to section 20 grievous bodily harm. He says, what do you think about that to me? I said, well, tell the judge, because I'd done 8 months on remand. I said, tell the judge, I'll do that and I'll accept 18 months. So then I'd only got 4 months to do. Because then you had to do 12 months. It was like 2/3 of your sentence, not half. So he's gone up, tell them, he goes, comes back, he goes, yeah, fucking hell, he'll do that. Judge Michael Walker, chicken neck. Fucking horrible looking fucking judge he were.
Up there with Pickles.
Yeah, he was an horrible bastard, but he looked horrible as well. He looked like a fucking chicken. And anyway, I goes up, I'm full of beans. My missus has sat up back at court. I'm like that. So anyway, how do you plead? Guilty, section 20, yeah. So anyway, he goes, Mr. Broughton, thank you, you've saved all this time. I sentence you to 18 months imprisonment. I'm thinking, thank you very much. He goes, but you're in breach of a 12-month suspended sentence. This is where that demanding money with menaces goes in. So he went, that will come into effect as well, 2.5 years. So from 18, doing another 4, I ended up doing another fucking 20 months. That's how they shafted me. And I didn't even glass the person and all. It fucking did my head in that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Was that the pub you referred to, the Horse and Lion?
Horse and Lion, yeah.
Yeah. So you got married in prison, Lindholm.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
That came about because when you're doing over 12 months in prison, they take your council take your house off you.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. Well, they did then. And I was talking to a screw and I says, how can I get round it so they don't take house off us? He was, get married. That was it. So I talked to my missus about it and we wanted to keep house, you know what I mean? So that's why we got married, so we could keep house. Right, shotgun wedding and all. She turned up in an escort. Yeah, an escort. Fucking hell. Right performance.
Were there riots at that prison?
Yeah, Lindholm. Brilliant.
What did it kick off over?
You had billets and there were no gates on ends you could move about. Do you know what I mean? Don't really know what it was. I think it was just these guys wanted to cause bollocks. And this guy, I'll never forget, he walked in my billet and he's got a box on his head with eyes cut out. And he went, we're writing. If you want to help us, you're welcome. If you're not, just stay in your billets. I'm fucking daft. I'm not writing, you know what I mean? Fuck that. I've got nothing to write for. So anyway, it all kicked off. Everything were on fire. We all had to go to visit room to... Then I was like, so they know where everybody were, all them what weren't involved, went to visiting rooms. Some of my pals went on riots. Yeah, first thing they did, they broke into canteen, nicked all tobacco, broke into fucking medical centre, got all wobbly eggs, all barbs, all diazepams, temazepams and that. I was just sat in visiting room, me. Pals walking up, just gave me a pillowcase full of fucking tobacco, which I had to bury after, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was like Grand National as well. Everybody was jumping out fence, going. Yeah. I was there for 2. The first one was Beston.
Was it?
Yeah. Yeah. First one with a gun.
So you have a son with your missus? And you're in the prison while this is happening?
Oh, no.
The birth.
Yeah, that was him, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what that were? I got done for a driving offence. And this is how sick these judges are with me. They put me in front of a stipendiary magistrate for a driving offence.
Yeah.
It's fucking mental. This guy's going to be a judge. What's he want to deal with me for? So anyway, he gave me 4 months in prison just for a driving offence. And I told him, I goes, my son's going to be born in 2 weeks' time. Can't you just let me out?
Bastards, aren't they?
I was like, it's my first son.
Yeah.
Fucking sent me to jail for 4 months. Yeah.
Did we do the getting shanghaied over a dozen eggs?
Yeah, that was funny, that. I was in old jail. So I worked in kitchen and I worked on bakers with my the guy who I padded up with, Tommy Mason, he was the number one in kitchen. He sorted everything out. And I'm watching, and this guy's put 6 eggs on his tray. So I'm thinking, you fucking greedy cunt, like, I want some of that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I went, right. So I walked up, I put these 6 eggs on my tray. So Screw went, don't know, you can't have that many eggs. I goes, well, what about him? He went, he cooked them. Just like that. So I went, are you shagging him or what? No, Screw. I went, you shagging him? Fucking Scotch bloke he were, Campbell they called him, horrible cunt. I went, you shagging him? So he went, get back to your fucking cell. Oh, I knew exactly what was happening now. And like, this is all. And my mate Tommy, he over a Mackham, he was from Sunderland, really nice kid. He's come back. I goes, what are you doing? He goes, well, if they're fucking sacking you, they're sacking me as well. So what they did to fuck us up again, they sent me to Acklington from Doncaster, from Hull, sorry, from Hull, and they sent my mate, who's a Mackham from Sunderland, to Lindholm. So by rights, should have sent me to Lindholm and him to Acklington. Yeah, for 9 weeks. 9 weeks left. And my fucking bird were having to come on probation bust. Yeah. You know what I mean?
So the travellers try and get one over on you with the cockfighting.
Yeah.
What happened there?
I used to fight birds, cockerels. Not with spurs on, just free fighting. Like we used to like to watch a good fight. Do you know what I mean? One what? Like, because when they've got spurs on, it can be over quickly. So we just like to see a free fight. And I arranged to fight on this gypsy camp with Prices, Caesar Price they called him. So I've took my bird down, starts. Anyway, my bird's doing really good, getting it some fist, if you like, you know what I mean? And anyway, next minute, this little gypsy kid has ran up to my bird and booted it. So, by rights then, my bird's won because there's been interference. 2 minutes later, a Jack Russell's run up to it and bit it.
Oh, God.
So my bird's turned, shot off. So anyway, I paid kid money, and I says, you might as well have that bird as well. So I goes home, goes in my local pub that night, my pal Wally, he goes, what have you been up to today? So I told him the script. He goes, tell me about cockfight. So I goes, where he first started, his bird was running away, then mine were chasing it. He went, what? We're running away? I went, yeah. He goes, you've won. He went, as soon as that bird turns, it's like a boxer. He turns his face. Like Sykes with John L. Gardner. Like when they turn and start running, that's it, it's over. This is like 11 o'clock at night, it is. So I went, your car outside? He was, yeah. I was right, come on. So we shot down to this gypsy camp, and that time it was the biggest gypsy camp in Sheffield at Tinsley, huge. So I drives on, goes outside this caravan, I'm banging on door. Next minute, all the lights are coming on caravans and all this, and all coming out with their shirts off and listening. So I just told this Caesar, and I told him, I goes, your bird fucking lost his fight. I went, everything, I goes, it twirled, it didn't want to. I goes, where is my bird anyway? I want it back. So he gave me my money. I went, where's bird? He went, it's in a horse box round back of my caravan. And I'm thinking, oh yeah, fucking going round here. So anyway, I did go. And it was there just like perched on this thing. So I grabbed it. And as I'm walking out, he's got an English bull terrier there. I grabbed that, picked it up, because I'm having that bastard as well. Slung it in car. Best thing about that dog, it was tone deaf. And the only reason why I know that is because when I used to go out and then come back, the dog never barked, and it'd be fast asleep. And if I prodded it, it would up. You know, yeah, it was tone deaf. So yeah, that was a good one.
You did 18 months for shoplifting?
It weren't shoplifting, Shaun.
No.
What it were counterfeit credit cards.
Ah.
And what happened were they didn't go through the swipe because there were none of that electric stuff on them. We were having them made. They were costing 300 quid each. These Asian guys were doing it. But we were guaranteed a £2,000 transaction from them. And we used to buy as many as we could to order. And what it were, there'd be a name on the credit card. So what we did, we had to find an address. So when we went out in town, we used to go in a post office and we used to say, the road across from post office, what's postcode on there? So the gate's postcode, then we'd go on the road, find the number, and because it didn't go through swipe, no details came up. So we were hitting everything. We were getting like all electrical stuff. We like a £2,000. Sometimes we were doing like 3 a day. A £2,000 transaction, and we were selling everything at half price. So them big Toshiba tellies, like what had just come out then, they were like 1,500 quid each. We were getting them and selling them at 750, and we were doing like 3 a day.
Wow.
So we were earning money. And how that came on top were very stupid. We did this job at Birstall, which is like in Yorkshire near Leeds, and I got a telly out in there. So on way back towards Sheffield, we decided to go and hit one in Wakefield. Now we've got to Wakefield and asked for this telly because they were all to order, and they said we ain't got one, but we've got one at Batley if you want to go. Now we just been at Birstall, but Birstall is in Batley. So we've gone this other way, and they phoned up to ask about it, and he says like, well, we've just done this. 2 guys have just been. He goes, well, the same guys. They must be. What's name? Owls. That's the name what was on card. So when we've got there, and drove a different way, but when I pulled in car park, I thought to myself, fucking hell, we've been here, haven't we? So anyway, we went in. Fucking busies were waiting for us. But they called it shoplifting. Now I can't. Whether they didn't have, I know it were like fraud, but whether they did not see no like it before, do you know what I mean? So they just put it down as shoplifting, and I got 18 months for it.
Which prison that time?
Well, Leeds.
I
had to go to Leeds. Then I went to Ranby. From there.
So this documentary then, how did that come about? Smoking with the Hawk.
Smoking with the Hawk was a pool hustle. Like I set this pool match up. 2 guys for £4,000 each. I just set it up and everything went on. What it were, these guys were doing these documentaries and that. They came to see me and asked me if they were all happening, what they could film us doing. And at the time I was like organising a pool match. So they followed us about, and
I saw you raising the money and everything.
Yeah, that, and it was all right. Had red carpet out, got a standing ovation, and I were on at pictures for 2 nights.
Was it?
Yeah, in Sheffield. Yeah, it was brilliant.
And what's with you and the Hawk?
I used to fly birds of prey.
Yeah,
I used to love birds of prey and getting into the reds and finding out what weights they were, like to fly them, because they have 2 different weights. One's for flying, one's for hunting.
Yeah, because there's a scene where you're feeding one, isn't it?
Yeah,
very powerful scene. That.
Yeah. Yeah.
So today you've come in and you've shown me some extremely graphic photos of your arm with massive machete wounds.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
I used to have this cane corso dog, and he were a bit aggressive. Like he were more man aggressive than dog aggressive. And he got out this particular day, and he's gone on this garden and he started having a fight with this Alsatian. So this guy has come round, tell me about it. So I've gone round, got it. I went, if there's out wrong with dog, let me know and I'll pay for vet. So he's come round and says it's got an hole in its skin. So I went round, looked at it, an hole about as big as that, just a skin wound. So I thought, wait, 50 quid, course of antibiotics, couple of stitches. This was like 2003. So anyway, a couple of days later, he came back and he gave me a receipt for 450 quid.
Trying it on.
I went, I ain't paying it. I was like, that's fuck all. I goes, it's a skin wound. I goes, it's not flesh. I goes, it's not. Because I weren't stupid, I knew what. So he just walked off. One day, I'd been with my lads to McDonald's. Come back. I believe were 13-year-old. Danny were 9. Gets out in car. My oldest lad had walked up, entry, but my youngest lad was with me. And he saw this guy walking down with something at the side of him here. So he went, Daddy's coming, he's got something in his hand. So I looked and I thought, it's a rounder's bat. So I thought, right, I'm going to fucking have a go at him. So he's walked towards me. And my son, he won't move, he won't go. I tell him to move and he won't go. He was like scared and he wanted to stay with me. So I've tried to push him out where neck and through my eye, I've seen him come all like this. So I've put my hand up. Boof. Never felt it. Smashed him. Got on the floor. Looked at my hand like that. I'm thinking, you know, what's up? I can't close my hand. And he just, as I looked at it like that, I've got my leg on his arm. I could have took machete off him and done him. I looked at my hand and it just went, and I felt it all ripping, nose as it were going down. So I just got up and chipped and I went to my mate's because it put me about a bit. So I went to my mate's house and he saw it in my heart. And I got this T-shirt on. He went, what's wrong with the top of your arm? Fucking took my shirt off and all muscle was sticking out of my arm. Yeah, although a vet bill, black guy, gained on a bit as well, about 50-year-old. But he'd done it before as well. And when he went to court, there were a professor of pathology, a forensic scientist what dealt in blood spates. The professor of pathology says it was done in a chopping motion. He says, I've seen wounds like this before. It's a defensive wound. It's done in a chopping motion with an heavy, sharp knife, machete, hatchet. The forensic scientist said who dealt in blood spates, different blood spates for how hard you've been hit. And these blood spates were big. Said, yeah, it's been done with an heavy object. There were a couple of witnesses behind curtains who didn't want him to see their faces, who actually saw it. He had one character witness who he met at a bowling alley who said that he'd never seen him raise his voice, never mind do all wrong. He admitted he had the machete. He said, I fell on it. My barrister said, twice, because there's 2 wounds. And he said, yes. This is how unlucky I am. Trust me.
Jeez.
He got not guilty.
Oh my goodness.
He got a not guilty. He'd done it before in Germany. And like, people were starting to think like that he was grassing some people up and things like that. But
does that mean,
even if you're a grass, you shouldn't be able to fucking get away with things like that?
does that mean you couldn't claim for the criminal compensation?
No, I couldn't.
That's messed up.
No, I couldn't. You have to be out in trouble for 13 years or something before you can claim, yeah.
Yeah.
My wife, my kids got something.
Yeah.
I think they got about 10 grand each or something.
Right.
You know what I mean? Through trauma, because
Yeah.
my youngest lad, he still has night trauma. I'm not saying it's down to that, but he still has night traumas.
Yeah. It's a heavy thing to see. Yeah.
It is.
So what's life like for you now, Clyde?
Well, I'm all right. I stopped doing crime roughly about when I got out in 99, because my kids, I ain't spent much time with them.
Yeah.
And I wanted to spend time with my kids and watch them grow up, because my oldest lad was born while I was in Shovel. Yeah, I saw my youngest born. And you have to make a choice, don't you?
Of course, yeah.
Do you want to carry on going to jail for the rest of your life, or do you just want to settle down and be with your kids when they're growing up?
Yeah.
So I just chose latter, me.
And what do you say to young people who are tempted to get into crime these days?
Don't do it. I know it's hard to say, like, because like most of the kids now what are brought up, they ain't got dads and they just rely on the mother, but it's not worth it, because eventually now you're not going to get jail what I got, you're going to get a hell of a lot of jail, and you'll be away from your families a hell of a long time. I know it's hard, but there's things you can do to earn money, working, or even help other people.
Yeah. All right, so huge thank you to Clyde for coming on. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. Like I said at the very beginning, you know, I read the description from the back. Clyde's book, Jail Hawk. It will be in the description box below this video. I'll also put a link down there for the documentary as well, if you guys want to check that out. Huge thank you to Jamie Boyle for arranging this. We'll put his stuff down there as well. And if you want to subscribe to the channel, subscription logo is in the bottom corner of the screen. Huge thank you to all the new subscribers, and huge thank you to people who've gone down and clicked on our donation links and our social links and all of our playlists as well. All right, cheers Clyde, really appreciate that, man. Thank you very much. Yeah. Well done.